We are on lesson 7, so we're going to start talking about how to identify proportional and non-proportional relationships in a graph. To get started though, we have an opening exercise, so I'm going to have you pause the video, give that opening exercise a try. When you're all set, start the video and just check your work. So our opening exercise says Isaiah sold candy bars to help raise money for his scouting troop, and the table shows the amount of candy he sold compared to the money he received. Is this amount of candy sold proportional to the amount of money that he received? How do you know? Well, in order to figure this out, remember we just need to be dividing and figuring out if there is a constant of proportionality. So we're going to go ahead, and the first thing I'm going to write down is k equals y divided by x. In this specific case, y is money and candy bars sold is x. So there's my label. So I'm going to go ahead and check to see if my unit rates would be the same. So 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. 6 divided by 4 is 1.25. So already I know that that is not the same. So I can stop there and say no, the unit rates are not the same. So that was just a quick little recall into what we've been doing. Before we go into identifying our proportional and non-proportional relationships in our graphs, we're going to take some time and just remind ourselves about our coordinate plane. So right here to the right is our coordinate plane. First thing it asks us to do is label the origin. Well, remember the origin is where our x and y axes cross, and that is the point 0, 0. So our origin is right here in the middle, and I'm going to label that 0, 0. Just as a reminder, the x-axis is the horizontal line, the y-axis is the vertical line. If you need help remembering that, think about how a y has a tail that goes up and down. Next one says label the quadrants. So when we look at our quadrants, we are going to start in our fully positive quadrant over here. This is quadrant 1. And then it goes around in a large C. I always use that to help because I'm Miss Coakley, so I just think of a C. So as I draw a C, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we label them with Roman numerals. Okay, it says number the axis. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start at 0, 0, and then from there I'm just going to count positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Positives go towards the right, negatives go towards the left. So negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. Same thing for my y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. Now, last thing, an ordered pair. Well, an ordered pair is just an x and a y that go with each other. They create a point on your coordinate plane. Next page. It says exploratory challenge from a table to a graph. The table shows the money received is proportional to the number of candy bars sold. Plot the points in your table on the grid. So remember when we go to plot these, our ordered pair is x, y. So every single one of these x's and y's on our table is an ordered pair that can be plotted as a point. So just to help us out, I'm going to write those out as an ordered pair so that we can graph them. All right, so let's plot those points. So I'm going to go over to my graph. First one is 2, 3, so I'm going to go in my x-axis. I'm going to label my x and y. So I'm going to go over 2, up 3. 3 is going to be between 2 and 4. Over 4, up 6. Over 6, up 9. And over 8, up 12. All right, so I'm going to leave those dots just like that. I'm going to go down and look at these questions. So it says, what observations can you make about the arrangement of points? So if I look at those points, they look like they're going to form some kind of drawing or shape. If I take a closer look, they almost look like they're going to form a pretty straight line. Okay, so that's my observation. They are forming a straight line. Then it says, do we extend the line in both directions? Explain why or why not. Well, I'm going to go back up to what they told us in our description. It says the table shows the money received is proportional. So the fact that this is proportional tells us that we can extend the line in both directions. Yes, since this is a proportional relationship, we have an equation of y equals k times x that represents this relationship. More specifically, if we wanted to actually figure out what k is, well, remember k is y divided by x. So I could take any of those points. So let's just do 6 divided by 4. This would be 1.5. So my equation is y equals 1.5 times x. And if I was to go ahead and plug in any of my x's and y's, that would be true. So all of the points that could possibly go with that equation are represented by that line that's beginning to form. Okay? So when we're talking about graphs of proportional relationships, there are two main things that have to be true in order for it to be proportional. The first one is that it goes through the origin. Or the point 0, 0. Second one is that it is a straight line. So those are the two conditions that have to be met in order for it to be a proportional relationship. So now we're going to try this out. So it says example 1, graph the points from the opening exercise, and is this proportional or not? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and graph them. So let's see, the first one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, and 12, 12. Now, remember from our opening exercise when we went to actually figure out if this was proportional or not using our table, we found that it was not proportional because it did not have a constant of proportionality or the same unit rate. But when we graph our points, this is not creating a straight line. So if we were trying to explain this based on our graph, we would say not proportional because it is not a straight line. And we don't know if it's going to go through the origin, but because it's not a straight line, it's probably not going to. But as long as it doesn't meet that it's not a straight line, it can't be proportional anyway. Okay? Next one. Example 2. Graph the points provided in the table to determine if the graph is proportional. Label the axis using the descriptions in the table. So let's go ahead. So the first one, 0, 6. So 0 up to 6, 3, 9, and 6, 10. Okay. Now again, both of those conditions have to be met. If just one of them is not true, then it cannot be proportional. So the first thing we look at, well, it would have to go through 0, 0. It is not going through 0, 0. So we're going to say no. The graph does not go through the origin. Or 0, 0. And we can clearly see that this is not straight and is not a straight line. All right. That is all. Good luck on your homework.